question for Mike. From going with ideas that are abstract to concrete, is there any practical tools that you use in making connections between abstract and concrete? As far as like dealing with a theological topic to a life application, is there a practical tool that you or other pastors or preachers use to help make those connections?
It's a great question.
So I think if I understood right, the question is practical tools to make things that are abstract more concrete. And I'd love to hear from Eddie on this too, because it seems like you've thought about this a lot. I think what I am constantly doing, and I don't know if this is a totally practical tool, but I'm constantly asking, how does this get lived out? How do I do this? What does this look like in reality? And I'm naturally curious that way, and I'm naturally dissatisfied with what feels to me like cliche answers, which are the things that Bill was describing there. Like, if somebody tells me to love on someone first, I'm like, that's just weird. Like, that's what you say for marriage. And I'm like, but like, how? What does that mean? What does that look like? And so if I'm always asking that, I know everyone else is always asking that, and so I don't feel satisfied unless I've answered that. I don't know, Eddie, do you have stuff that you do?
Yes. Pull out your phones or computers and search this phrase real quick. You ready? And when I give you this, save a couple images you find or an article or two, and this will help you with it. It's a skill and discipline. You ready? Ladder, Ladder, of abstraction. And you're shaking your head, Mike. I'm sure you've stumbled upon this. Save this file, tape it to the wall until you master it, or if it's masterable. But I don't know what you're seeing there. But yes, Alex, great question. And this forces us to go from talking about stuff and things to an iPhone 6 with a cracked screen on the left side in a blue case. Mine's not cracked, by the way. Have y'all seen that before? Is this?
That's new for me, but that's really good.
Yeah, it's super helpful. And you know, I don't know what your search pulled up, but
I got Jerry Garcia. Human artist, musician, guitarist, rock guitarist, Jerry Garcia.
Yeah,
so
well, I would argue with the final concrete one there. Another one is whenever I hear something.
You're just in a different age group, my friend.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I watched the movie Titanic, as many of you did, and then I listened to James Cameron commentary on it, and he talks a lot about this. And when he was trying to explain the pressure at the depth of the wreckage, he said, you know, it's 12,000 PSI. And nobody knows what that means, but he said it's like piling up 3 SUVs on your toe. I was like, I get it.
Ouch. Sorry. Can you imagine though? Hey, that's good. Can I throw something in too? I preach to a like an intergenerational crowd. I mean, all the way from kids to senior adults, and I try to think about the various age groups I'm talking to, and try to think about application that will hit them where they are. I think we tend to, like my natural tendency is to think like a 61-year-old white guy, because I'm a 61-year-old white guy. So I try to push myself into thinking about, that means hanging out with, in whatever way you can, people who are different, and it helps your application hit a lot more. I mean, otherwise you're just going to communicate to who you are. So thinking about that, the differences in terms of age, and with our like we have people who live in different socioeconomic circumstances. We have ethnic diversity in our church that I need to be thinking about. I mean, it's really easy otherwise to just talk about things that are totally foreign to them. They have nothing to do with the world that they live in. So, okay. How about another? We got time for another question. Yes, Seth.
So on number 3, it says always asking your audience to do something. I was wondering what do, because you said that there can be too little or too much. So I was wondering if that's sweet spot.
Anybody want to tackle that one?
Can you repeat the question?
What was the last question you guys asked your congregation? Because you guys are talking about there can be too little or too much
Right.
to ask your congregation to do. So I was wondering what that sweet spot kind of looks like.
That's a great question. Let me repeat it. When was the last time you asked your congregation a question? You know, we talked about how you can do it too little or too much. When was the last time you asked something of your congregation in terms of application? And what was it?
That we asked them of something that was too little or too much?
No, we're just when was the last time you, I think is what you're wondering. What did you ask? What did you act like? I can answer that. I preached last Sunday night on John chapter 15. We're going through John's gospel leading up to Easter. And we're in chapter 15 and talked about the vine and the branches analogy. And it talks in that text about fruit bearing. And so what we did was we just kind of pulled out, that, by the way, this is too many, and I'll admit it right off the top. 6 specific things that Jesus talks about related to fruit bearing. And I made them like questions. Like the first one was, am I abiding in God's love? And so I spent some time, took quite a bit of time explaining, because abiding is a word that we use in church that a lot of people have no idea what we're talking about. So anyway, I went through and there was like 6 specific things. I recognized that's way too many. So what I asked them to do was to think in terms of one that they really could. I mean, I tried to help them to narrow it down to one thing that they could focus on and work on for the next month or between now and Easter. I think it's good to give people a specific time frame. The other thing that I asked them to think about doing is look around you to see if there's somebody who may be needing some help developing this in their life. You know, a person who's not as far along in their faith or maybe struggling with that area of their life, and see if there might be some way for God to move you into that situation where you can actually be of some encouragement to them. So that's last Sunday was my last time. How about you guys?
We're teaching through Revelation right now, which is super fun. And the thing about
was that sarcasm?
I love it. I think it's
okay, good.
A misunderstood book of the Bible and super enjoyable to teach. Revelation is the unveiling of Jesus Christ, the revelation of Jesus. It's about pointing to Jesus. And so did a message a couple of weeks ago as we were getting into it about about things that we are holding on to that are keeping us from seeing Jesus clearly. And so the application was, what do you need to let go of in order to pursue? So we created a sentence in the bulletin that said, I will let go of blank in order to pursue blank to help me see Jesus more clearly. So he said, whenever you're letting go of something, you're always pursuing something. Fasting isn't just about, oh, I'm not going to do these things. It's, I'm not going to do this in order to pursue this. I'm going to not watch TV in the evenings in order to engage in this book that stretches my faith. I'm not going to eat breakfast in order to, when I have that hunger, in order to remind me to rely on God. And so we use that sentence as like this framework for asking people to let go of something in order to pursue something, and did like you did. We said between now and Easter, I want you to do this. Not forever, just leading into Easter to help you see more Jesus more clearly as we move to Easter.
That's good. Eddie, you want to add anything?
Well, I'm watching the time and
okay.
don't want to it's I got 2:13. What time are y'all done?
2:15. You got 2
Okay.
minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah. So the last question I asked this past Sunday was, what is the situation in your life you wish was gone that God is using to grow your faith? What's going on in your life that's challenging your faith? And I restated it a couple different ways.
Yeah. That's really good. So, yeah. Hey guys, thanks for